As computers, smartphones, tablets, and 1,000 other high-tech devices become everyday objects and internet access everywhere becomes the norm, technology has the power to make your life easier and more fun. But is it also sleepwalking us towards a tech-driven nightmare?
Every day, Indians lose crores of rupees on a cumulative basis as far as their losses on the internet through frauds and through other cybercrimes is concerned.
The internet is an exciting place full of information. But the IoT is giving hackers hundreds of millions of trapdoors into our lives and our personal and corporate data, who take advantage of the anonymity of the online world to deceive and hack if the opportunity arises.
The 21st century, the data privacy, the security and safety, all of these concepts are very intertwined with each other.
Behind the cloak of anonymity, there are huge numbers of cyber criminals and cyber terrorists who are waiting to pound on you and to cause economic detriment to you.
Given the profits and current conditions, cybercrime may well be coming to your neighborhood if it has not already moved in. More importantly, how would you know? As we unlock the door to new technological wonders, be it at our homes or work, we need to be assured that we are the only ones with the key.
I welcome you to India Demands Safety Standards, a multi-pronged initiative by UL that showcases the importance of safety standards across various verticals. While connectivity is definitely making our lives easier, it is also opening up our world to a whole new set of risks. Is there anything that we can do to mitigate the threats emanating from an increasingly connected world? We are gathered here today to discuss just that. To open the proceedings, I would like to call upon Mr. Suresh Sugavanam, Vice President and Managing Director, UL South Asia.
We are all using connected devices all the time, 24/7 almost. And while all these devices are there to make our life easier, they also present some inherent vulnerabilities and potential risks. I'll give you a few examples. The first one is on data privacy. All of us use apps, and when we download apps, we very conveniently just say, yes, I allow this app to access a lot of content from my phone. And clearly these apps, while they are here to make our life easier, which is why we use, and at the same time there are risks because we've actually seen incidents, not just in India, but also around the world, where fraudsters, pranksters, stalkers, even sex offenders are able to track your geolocation down to a single point and actually come. And that's actually a scary thought. The other one is on cyber and software security. And it's amazing how you can connect every device in the world and shut off a power grid in Iceland sitting in a remote location. It's unbelievable that that technology is there today because everything is connected, and it's essentially just one hack away any of the information that we have. The point of all this is not to scare you. At the end of the day, these are all devices and technologies that we want to use every day because they make our life easier. The point of this is to make sure that we all realize that with inherent technology evolution, there are some risks. The important part for all of us is to figure out how we can put some guardrails around this, how we can create some standards around this, which then define and ensure the adoption of technology while ensuring safety.
Thank you so much, Suresh, for the opening address. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to introduce the keynote speaker of the evening. Mr. Atul Kumar, President and CTO at Tech Mahindra, is at the center of all this because he's responsible for defining and executing Tech Mahindra's technology solutions. His presence here today is even more relevant because, amongst other areas, his key focus is on cyber security. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Atul Kumar.
99% of everything that is going to be available in the next couple of years is some way or the other going to get connected. So the potential of what this business is going to be is huge, but at the same time, the vulnerabilities that come along with that is also going to be huge. Now, in this new world, fundamentally, there are multiple levels at which you can be attacked, multiple levels at which people are trying to get information from you. The vectors that come into play are around three things. One is in terms of just taking control, and with control, you can do things, you can disrupt, you can say things. The other one is about stealing information, which may have malicious intent, or it sometimes has intent for usage which you don't want to, say, grant. And the third one, of course, is the disruption of service. But those are some of the possibilities that can happen across, and we've seen some of them already in action. So in the IoT world, it is not just about the physical connection. That's the simplest one to really figure out and handle across. But it is across the whole board of usage where really the big challenges come across. So where's the hope? What's happening? So the war against security breaches I'm trying to simulate or think of this, and I always think of it as how we react as individuals on this one. So it's like an individual would. So it's like bacteria and virus. I mean, they keep morphing, they keep coming up with new things. We have to keep doing some stuff across on that. So that's one of the key elements. The other part is that in certain areas, I mean, you need to take care of it yourself. For instance, if you have a cut and you have to use a Dettol, you don't need to go to a doctor. I mean, this is something that you do yourself. So there are certain safety measures that an individual has to do across. So there's a role for every individual to play. The third element very clearly is that you have to think of it as an architecture and a way forward. It's not about today and now and solving this problem, but it's about saying that this is how I'm going to be able to protect myself. It's a guess. It can go wrong, like our retirement plans can go wrong, but nonetheless, it's a way forward to look forward. And then, of course, the angle of the simplest and the weakest link is clearly the password elements, and various people are approaching it differently by saying finger scans, you're talking about iris, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, that's one element which will always come into play no matter what it is, so you have to do multiple levels maybe, and so on and so forth. In the internet, for instance, in social media, we constantly have new products. In e-commerce, you have new products. Everything is just being released straight off. People get habituated, they get to use it, and then we start to figure out what could go wrong or what has gone wrong, and so on and so forth. So it's a very, very different kind of a realm that's happening across. I think it's important, and I represent not just Tech Mahindra, but also the Digital Security Council of India on this, that there has to be some game plan and policies that we start looking at this upfront, not just as a reactive. So thank you very much, and all the best with this initiative that you've taken.
Thank you so much. Now for the special address, I would like to invite here Mr. Sajeev Jesudas, President Consumer Business, UL. Please put your hands together for Mr. Jesudas.
When you have a standalone product, consumers are concerned about safety of the product, performance of the product, reliability of the product, and more recently, sustainability of the product. Today, with the connected world, you add on interoperability and security. Interoperability is critical. Today, you have products that are on different operating systems, different hardware platforms, operating different software. And these things need to talk to each other efficiently and effectively in a connected world. So interoperability and the way products communicate with each other, talk to each other, becomes very critical. And the standards and the protocols that govern interoperability. Security is the second concern. We have, as manufacturers and industry and regulators and government, need to ensure that we stay ahead of what I would call the bad guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, the internet has made the world a better place. The internet improved the quality of life for people in all parts of the world and shall continue to do so. But how safe is it? Are we risking our critical information? And to deliberate on that, we have a very special session called Safer Technology in a Connected World. Moderating and taking the discussion forward would be Kajori Sen of CNN News 18.
So today, as we've all been comprehensively terrified by the speeches we've heard, let's break it down. Let's bring it down to the bottom line. What are we afraid of? What's the situation looking like today? And what's it going to look like in the future? I'd like to invite the panel up. Abhijit Verma, Partner, IT Advisory, KPMG. Jean-Luc Hao, Regional Director of UL Transaction Security Division, Asia Pacific. Sanjay Katkar, MD and CTO, Quick Heal Technologies Limited. Tanushree Dev Burma, Director, Department of Information Technology and Biotechnology. Anand Mohan Nair, Lead Consultant, Ojus Networks Private Limited. And Prabhakar Tadepalli, Founder and President of Typhoon Inc. Jean-Luc, we'll start with you. We'll take it down right through. And the question is very simple. How real is the threat of a cyber attack for me, the person on the street?
It's actually fairly real. When you look at corporate infrastructure, there is actually a lot of investment being put to secure more and more the infrastructure to make a breach less and less possible, although criminal organizations, hackers, researchers are putting more and more effort. So it's like a race. At the same time, consumer, people on the street will be more vulnerable to actually hacking as well, because people have more connected devices on them. Operating systems are more open, and as well as access to these operating systems and the malware developed by companies is actually increasing.
I think the threat is here and now, right? And I could do it in this crowd in no time, given the right tools, right? And I'll take a quick analogy. If you talk to any CTO of a bank, of a telco, or an IT company today, right? They will tell you that they're facing threats on a daily basis, right? And there are attacks that they're thwarting, either malicious or not. Now, I'll ask this as a question. You stay in your houses, right? And you've got adequate security. But if you wake up and see that somebody is fiddled with your locks in the night, or somebody is peering over your kitchen door, and if this is happening on a regular basis, do you get a little worried? And do you react? Most of us would say yes, but that doesn't translate into the digital world. And that's perhaps the biggest risk, that there isn't any felt fear when it comes to the digital world. And that's a big challenge. So it's not just real. We need to, somebody said, this is not meant to scare. I would say, please go ahead and get yourself scared. Right?
So be scared. In the current scenario, you will have several locks in your house. If you hear one lock being scratched, you will go hide behind another. If you hear that one being scratched, you will go hide behind the third. You have different keys for different cupboards. Specifically when it comes to this kind of technology, when it gets increasingly integrated, how many locks are there? How many keys are there? And how secure are those keys?
Yeah, so you rightly put the analogy. In the sense, see, it all depends like how seriously we take security. In sense, people just think like, as you rightly pointed, that if we have a single lock, then we see that, okay, if it is getting fiddled, we may have a multi-layer. So that same analogy applies in cyber security, wherein we have to think it multi-layer security. Because see, it's like security is something which is not, I'll say, a static thing, because anything that is secured is studied by hackers, and then they come out with something that they will try to break that. And so this, like, I being from a security industry, product industry, we realize that a single layer will never give enough security. So we have to like give multiple layers just to make sure if somebody cracks out of, or enters through this layer, there should be a next layer that will at least prevent it. So multi-layer protection is something that is very important and should be used. Actually.
Now, if we need more locks, whose responsibility is it to put those locks in place? Is it the responsibility of the software person? Is it the responsibility of a securities person, the device person? Where does the buck stop?
The first follow-on to that is, today, the key into the most critical financial system is a 7-8-digit username and a password. So there is one very weak lock. Our view, and my view as when we started the company, was a consumer should never ask a question, where should my keys lie? Your keys are with you, whether it's your house or your car. So the digital identity and where it sits should be with you. It's logical.
Well, what would you say would be the primary difference between a model which is problem solving for a specific element or for a smaller scale, and when you try and expand the same model to a larger scale?
So if you're problem solving for a specific solution, right now, chances are that it's probably limited to a specific use case or a specific scenario, or it could be even for a specific technology or component. So addressing that fix, trying to figure out how to secure that system better, trying to implement controls, that is one aspect that's a pretty reactive troubleshooting approach to solving a problem rather than focusing on the design. And emulating that and trying to push it across boundaries and trying to take the same model to a different solution. It may work if the underlying architecture is similar, but in most cases it may not work because the underlying architecture, the way a system was architected, the way it was configured, the way it was intended to function could be systematically different.
There's a reason I asked you this, because I'm going to ask Tanushree the next question, which is for the government, who are, all of these guys are working with clients, with specific people, with specific problems, with specific issues. You guys are dealing with a country. You guys literally have to do it on models of scale. How does that work, and how are you going to take it forward in this sort of rapidly changing world?
So I'll give the example of IoT. Just a month back, we announced the launch of our IoT Center for Excellence. This is one of the few centers of excellence which we will build. The first one being in Bangalore, the other ones will be across the country. And this is under the Government of India's IoT policy, which was announced a few months back. One of the major initiatives under the policy is to set these safety standards. And not just safety, but also the compliances which are related to ensure interoperability. We want to work on several fronts, one of them being ensuring skills are getting developed. Because IoT is such an upcoming field, if we don't address it at the beginning, things may go haywire. Of course, government has limited role to play nonetheless. We are working with several industry members. In fact, the Center of Excellence that has been set up, it is in collaboration with several IoT players, and they are helping us out in formulating such policies, ensuring that at college levels, we are ensuring that the curriculum is set right now, so that the upcoming, the talent pool is aligned to that. And they realize...
To those needs.
Yeah.
Okay. Now stop talking about problems and start talking about solutions. The road ahead. Look, we'll start with you. One thing that you would like to see specifically done and worked upon to ensure better safety standards as far as technology is concerned in India.
Now, when you look at the cybersecurity, we believe that there are ways of a little bit more regulations. One of the ideas could be looking at a star rating program that we can think about. We have star rating for energy. We have star rating for car safety. We have different kind of star rating for consumer products. We can consider this kind of star rating program also for security, why not?
Right.
So different layer of security in the internet, different asset or credential you want to protect may have different star rating requirements. And this is something that UL can consider helping the industry to move forward.
Thank you so much. Our panel today, raising a lot of problems, giving a lot of solutions, telling us what the reality is. And the reality is we should be scared. There's a lot of wonderful things out there, but there's also very real fears that those may be taken advantage of. And we, each of us, of course, the industry, the government, and all of us, the end consumers, need to be aware of that. How much of responsibility we take for that ensures how safe we will be. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to call Mr. Piyush Gupta, Sales Director, US South Asia, to deliver the vote of thanks.
I think we all understand that technology is here to play a very, very great role in our lives. We have to embrace technology. I think the critical point is to be aware of the vulnerabilities that exist in technology and to build a road forward. We also, I think, clearly understand the role that standards and regulation can play in building this ecosystem, which ensures a perfect harmony between the consumer as well as the supplier of the goods and services. But one message that I think we should carry back from this event for all of us is to make our family, our community aware of how while we are embracing technology, we need to be aware of what kind of challenges that poses and reach out to stakeholders when you encounter any issues.
Next week, we shift our focus to the consumer goods sector and talk about how we can create the market that moves towards products that are standard, safe, and sustainable. And if you have a story, opinion, or suggestion for us, please visit www.safetystandards.com.